having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
What? I said, you run! Yeah! Can't steal it! Woo! Wheel and deal it! The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better. I got 141 and 2/3 chance of winning, but brother, I am bad and they know I'm bad. I'm the man of the hour, the man with the power. You sweet to be sour. It's showtime, folks! Welcome to the Grill Out. From the heart of Shillian, West Virginia, here's your host, Hollywood Jeff Petty.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Grill Out, episode 88. I'm your host, Hollywood Jeff Petty, and I'm joined here with my illustrious co-host, both of them, the reflection of perfection, Dr. Jason Lyken.
Okay, so Jeff, here's something that you've been saying for how many episodes now?
What am I saying?
I don't know. Okay, so what you keep saying is my illustrious co-host.
Co-host, yes.
Yes, but you see, there should be an S after that because it's plural.
Yeah.
There's more than one. I mean, in fairness, it's Josh, so not really. But I have a doctorate now. I feel like I have to correct you.
Oh, boy, now it's really going to your head.
No, I'm just saying, I'm not the kind of person who's going to constantly remind people that I have a doctorate. Okay? I, Dr. Reflection of Perfection, Jason Lykens, am not the type of person to constantly remind people about my doctorate degree.
Lord. Oh, Lord. Also, our current reigning and defending Grill Out Predictions champion, Josh Cole, baby,
who does not have a doctorate.
True. He doesn't. He
Not
has
a doctor in
masters.
punkonomics either.
No, he does not. He does
Say
not.
Pokemon?
Punk. Yeah, got to catch them all. I'm about to retain this title though.
Maybe.
I'm on track to retain.
Are you? Okay, we'll get to that here in a second. All right, we announced earlier this week that we had a special guest coming on the show.
Well, I'm usually here.
You're not that special. No. He was our first interview on this show early on. He's well known in this area for a variety of reasons. He's known mainly for his work ring announcing for All-Star Wrestling in Boone County and Regatta Pro Wrestling, among others. He is the
learn to read.
I know. He is not only the ring announcer, but also a co-organizer for RPW's Sternwheel Slamboree on July 5th. Adam Harris is joining us here in the studio. How are you doing, Adam?
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me back. Am I the first-time return guest?
Yes, you're actually the first.
Hey, two-timer.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, first return guest on the show. First guest we've had on the show.
Yeah.
I actually looked back. That was March of last year. Was the last time.
Episode 29.
And look at us now in the big studio.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, and you're allowing
With everyone
both
here.
Josh and I to be here for it,
Well,
as opposed to last time.
Well, you know what? I had to do what I had to do last time.
Yeah, because so Adam, a little peek behind the curtain here. Last time, Jeff didn't want us on here because his name's on the show.
Right.
So he didn't want anyone to take any kind of glory from him from being able to do a good interview.
In Jeff's defense, I mean, we only had a limited amount of time, and so I feel like that may have been his primary concern. That, and we were also, I think we were in a closet, too. So, I mean, all four of us in there would have been a little tight.
Yeah. We were kind of in a broom closet.
Yeah.
I like the podcast. I don't know if I like you guys that much.
Yeah, also, you are a fan of the podcast. And honestly, outside of Dale Cooper, Dave Allen, a couple people around here at the station, Adam has probably been one of our biggest supporters since the beginning. And he's very well known around here for professional wrestling.
Well, I want to say congratulations because the show's been going a long time, and that is nothing to sneeze at. Putting a show on regularly every week is hard work, and I know that. So congratulations, and that'll be me putting you guys over.
Well, thank you. I take all the credit for that.
That's right.
No, we appreciate it. Yeah. We very much appreciate it. We will get to Regatta Pro in the next segment, but we're going to start off with Mount Rushmore. Okay, Mount Rushmore is a segment we have not done in quite some time.
Yes.
It is where we pick a topic related to pro wrestling and give our input on who is our Mount Rushmore for that subject. So we have to pick 4.
Prove it.
Why do you always want me to prove it?
Prove it.
The subject for this episode will be ring announcers.
Wow.
We have one amongst us.
I had to think about this. I'm glad you let me know we were going to do this.
Yeah.
I hope they did. Did you guys know?
I'm just now finding out.
All right.
It'll be okay.
All right, cool. This should be good. This should be good.
So we do. We just take turns on who is, 1 and 2 and 3 until we get to 4 on everybody's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, that's usually how counting works.
Yeah,
1 through 4.
I know. Well, we all do.
Quattro.
Yeah, the 3 of us went to college together, so we should know how to count.
Granted. I wouldn't get my doctorate.
Oh, man. Okay. So, actually, Adam, I'm going to go ahead and start off with you. Who is number 1 or just the first on your Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, I was going to say, mine are all kind of on the same level. Some of them are more sentimental to me than others, but I have to start with what I think of as being the first ring announcer that I heard was probably Mike McGurk. Who was the daughter of the promoter Leroy McGurk. And just to name drop a little bit here, the last time when Ted DiBiase came for the Bash in Beckley, I picked him up at the airport. He rode down to Beckley in the car with me, and he mentioned Mike McGurk, and he said that Leroy McGurk wanted a son so badly that he named his daughter Mike.
Okay.
I didn't know that part. I knew that she was named Mike McGurk, but, she had those flashy outfits. And to me, she's like I associate her announcing with a lot of the stars of that early pre-New Generation stuff. Like, to me, her Undertaker introduction is one of the best, And she always said, weighing, and hailing from. And that's something I've definitely picked up on. I feel like that's something that just ingrained itself in me as a young man. And I also found out on that road trip that Mike McGurk and Ted DiBiase were an item for a little while.
Oh, wow.
How about that? I don't think that's too far out of school. I think that's been put out there before, but Ted mentioned it. He brought it up.
No, there we go. We got some confirmation on it. Okay, Josh.
I had to look up some names just because I couldn't remember all the names since I've been watching wrestling, and that's what I'm going off of. So, Howard Finkel is not going to be on it just for that reason. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to start with Justin Roberts. I feel like he puts a lot of passion into what he does and a lot of research, and just he tries to add that little bit of extra character to each person he announces.
Okay. Justin Roberts, even though some people give him flack, I do like his introduction of John Moxley. And some people may hate it. I don't know. For some reason, I like it.
Yeah. It's a little divisive, I would say.
Yeah.
I read Roberts' book. I don't know if anybody of you guys have, but very interesting book. Very interesting read. He's done a lot of cool charity work, but also, unfortunately, got stretched by Chris Benoit.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
not a position any of us would ever want to be in.
No, absolutely not.
And a ring announcer, I don't care how much they're getting paid.
Absolutely not. Well, he also got choked out by Daniel Bryan at the time during
the tie
on television.
Yeah, on television. All right, Jason.
Oh, my first one is going to be, I grew up listening to I didn't grow up in the radio times. Grew up watching a lot of WCW, so I'm going to have to go with Gary Michael Capetta. So that's how you say his last name?
He's the GOAT. You got it. GMC.
Yeah.
World's most dangerous ring announcer.
Yes.
Okay.
Watching Jeff struggle to type.
I know. It is.
I like that you're keeping record, though, in case.
Yeah.
So on all of our shows, we always keep a rundown. So we always have. Yeah. Do you have the one pulled up right now, Josh, of last week's our picks?
Do not. I have it on my phone. But...
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. All right. So my first ring announcer for my Mount Rushmore. This is kind of cliche. I got to give it to the Fink. I have to give it to Howard Finkel. He's pretty much the voice of the WWF at the time, especially in the Attitude Era. I know he was doing it before, like all the way back to the first iteration of WrestleMania and such. But I just that his inflection and everything, it just takes me back to the Attitude Era as a child and that nostalgia and everything, and it's the Fink. Like, I feel like if we did not have him at least on one of ours,
I agree. No,
yeah,
1,000%. And I'll go ahead and take my next one, which was going to be Howard Finkel anyway. I'll mention one more, and I feel like he's so influential. I mean, he's the reason we think of and new, I mean, and that's like. It's a cliche at this point, but it was like Howard's inflection and everything on that made it so memorable.
Absolutely, it's kind of like with Bruce Buffer now, and now, whatever it is that he does. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It reminds me of that.
No, the Fink is the man.
Yeah.
I will say it was pretty nice they used his voice when they did the Randy Orton Edge match back in 2020.
That's right. Yeah, very nice touch.
For the greatest wrestling match ever.
Undisputed. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you can't argue it.
Period.
No, you can't.
All right, Josh.
All right, mine's a little bit more recent. Justin's kind of recent too, but I'll go with Samantha Irvin.
Yeah.
Some of the same reasons except for Justin, but also one thing I really liked about her, she did not want to know the result of the match so she could be surprised when it happened.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And in any case, in my experience too, that's the best. Like I prefer it that way, unless I need to know. Like, don't keep it from me if it's going to help, the show. If I need to know, but otherwise, I would just rather not know. So oftentimes, the fans, I'm reacting same way as them.
You're just getting an organic reaction.
Absolutely, and I would prefer it that way.
Yeah, I like the way she reacted to like Cody Rhodes winning at WrestleMania.
That's the best.
Yeah,
I get chills thinking about it. It's like great, and it's ingrained in history too.
Yeah,
absolutely. Also, like, just on the show with the rundown, I like to do that with Jason, get his organic reaction on some of the topics that we talk about.
But he sees it for the first time.
Yeah, I never, like, Jeff will send the rundown out. I have never looked at one. Never.
One of these days.
Probably not. I hate repeating ones that people have already said, but I have to on this one. It's Howard Finkel.
Yeah.
The Fink is the best. The fact that, one, if you watch a lot of the Mean Gene Okerlund outtakes, you'll see Howard Fink on there doing like Howard Cosell. And then just the story that people have about Howard Finkel, about how he always used the Fink ring announcer voice. Yeah, it's Howard Finkel.
However...
Yeah.
Watch out for that choke slam.
All right, so my second, I will be repeating on this one as well. Josh already said her name, Samantha Irvin. Even though she seems like she does not want to be a ring announcer.
Apparently not.
Yeah, which kind of blows my mind because she was, I thought, phenomenal at the job.
Yeah.
She really brought a lot of life to her role, and we've talked about this before on the show, Adam, about like ring announcers that sometimes it's unsung job. It's an underappreciated job.
Definitely.
And somebody like her or like yourself brings a lot of gravitas to that. So
yeah, you hope to add some personality to it, but also not take away from it. And I felt like Samantha Irvin did a good job of balancing that for sure. She, I think, was one of the. I mean, did you guys think before her who was the last ring announcer that you can like remember having personality or being like someone that was an attraction? I mean, because Samantha was over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, before that, I would almost say Lillian Garcia.
Yeah, I mean, I think she must be the next one before that, which was she Lillian was so over they just brought her back recently and is still doing Saturday Night's Main Event. So I mean, shout out to her too.
Absolutely, and she was like, you want to talk about Howard Finkel being the voice for like the Golden Era, the New Generation Era, and the Attitude Era. Mm-hmm. Lillian Garcia was sort of the voice for the Ruthless Aggression Era into the PG era for WWE, pretty much up until, Samantha Irvin came along.
For sure.
This isn't this is like a slight shout out. I thought Brandy Rhodes did do a decent job when she was doing a little bit.
Hey, I was going to put her in my honorable mention because she has not got a good enough she hasn't got enough credit for her ring announcing.
Absolutely not.
And if I brought her back in anyway, it would have been as ring announcer. I thought whenever she was on AEW, I liked it more than Justin Roberts, quite frankly. I mean, I always thought she was excellent at that. maybe it's not a role that's important enough for her, but I mean, I definitely had her on an honorable mention.
Absolutely. All right, so we will actually go back to you.
Okay.
So who's your third pick?
I'm going to do a quick repeat because I just think he's the greatest, but that's Gary Michael Capetta because he was the first ring announcer I ever saw live, and I will always bring up the first show I went to was in February of '92, and it was at the Charleston Coliseum. And actually, the first thing I remember him having to announce was that Sting would not be appearing, and neither would Elegante, and that they would be offering refunds up until the intermission of the show. And that always stuck with me because I remember, first of all, as a kid, I thought, who would ask for a refund? You know, this is the greatest thing of all time being here, you know, and that also that it would only go up until intermission. Like, if you stuck around after that, they're like, sorry, kid, you're not going to get your money back. But he was just like the voice of WCW. WCW Saturday Night was like the free TV that you got to watch at 6 o'clock on Saturdays, and Gary Michael Capetta was on there. And I mean, and it's ingrained in me the same way. My announcing is similar very much to Mike McGurk and to Gary Michael Capetta because I'll say wrestling fans like 100 times during a show.
Yeah.
And if you go back and listen to Gary Michael, he says almost every time, he'll say, our next contest, wrestling fans, is for one fall. You know, it's always in there. He's working it in there.
So real quick, do you like it when you say, okay, so you announce the match. This is just a quick little question.
All right.
And you say one fall and the fans repeat one fall. Is that like, okay, I got the fans a little bit with me right now, or
I think at this point I try to limit that. Like usually at the start of the show, it's like a good thing to do because everybody's involved, they're excited about it, and I usually try to give them at least that first one at the top of the show. To me, it kind of wears out after that. Like it's not as cool every time. It's almost like, you know, like a loud chop or whatever, or, you know, an obvious leg slap. It's like the more you do it, the less it kind of brings to the table is my opinion on it.
Waters it down a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. So I like to do it, you know, for that first one. And to me, it's also like a matter of keeping the show rolling. But if the audio and the PA is working good enough and the sound person is good enough, which is the tag team partner of the ring announcer always, I'd like to just hit the music because that's kind of how they do on the pros, you know, and so I'm doing this contest is scheduled for one fall and it is for the whatever over top of the music, you know, just because so they can get started to coming to the ring, you know, and that helps the pace a little bit.
Okay. See,
and then usually again around the main event they're going to work it in anyway. So
well, yeah, always. All right, Josh, who's your number 3?
We kind of talked about her a little bit, but I would say Lillian Garcia.
Nice.
Perhaps probably the biggest female voice ring announcer ever.
Probably the most recognizable,
Yeah.
certainly before Samantha, obviously.
Yeah.
Those of us of a certain age will remember Mike McGurk, though. She was the pioneer.
Yeah.
So I've got to touch back on your story really quick, Adam.
Cool.
I think it's really funny that it was, you know, I'm sorry, Sting will not be here. If you want a refund, I'm sorry, Elegante won't be here. If you want to, and people were like, yeah, those two are definitely on the same level there.
I'm sure they have been advertised, man. And as like whatever I was, 10 years old at that time, like Elegante, I didn't know about work rate.
No,
you know, he was just a 7-foot monster.
Yeah,
you know,
he was
like,
just tall.
Who could stop him?
Yeah.
Turns out almost everybody.
Yes.
Most importantly, himself.
Yes.
Maybe some steps.
Maybe, okay, so some individuals who may not know Elegante, it is 8-foot tall Giant Gonzalez.
Yes. Yeah.
And
before the fursuit. Like he hadn't done the fursuit yet.
Yes. Yeah. No, at this point he was just kind of wearing like black tights.
Yeah. Black shorts.
Yeah.
Sometimes a headband.
Yeah.
And somehow they managed to make it even worse with the fursuit. It was like he had the worst gear until.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wasn't he in that like Halloween cage match where
I think so.
Abdullah the Butcher
gets into the electric chair.
Yeah, what was it?
Chamber of
Horrors,
Doom, maybe Doom. Yeah, Chamber of Doom. Classic.
That was
that stuff's like comfort food to me.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, Dub-C Dub's gonna Dub-C Dub. Chamber of Doom.
All right, Jason.
Okay. God, I hate to do it again, but Lillian Garcia, you know, I'll be honest, I don't care for the way Justin Roberts announces. I feel like a lot of times he's trying to get himself over with it. And it shouldn't be taking emphasis away from the show. It should be adding into. And if you're not adding, then you're taking away. And I just don't care for Justin Roberts announcing.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Especially anytime he says John Moxley.
So
it's like a Vince McMahon impression.
A little bit. Real quick, I remember which one? I think it was Revolution 2020. The three of us were watching it. We were somewhere. I can't remember. We were watching it. John Moxley comes out, and Justin Roberts does the John Moxley, and that's the first thing that came out of your mouth, Jason.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I said that.
Yeah.
Also, not to copy you two, but
get your own ideas.
I have one more after this, but I was going to say Lillian Garcia.
All right. Okay.
To me, I have to say Lillian Garcia because yes, I remember Howard Finkel. You go back and you watch all the old WWF Attitude Era stuff, the New Generation, the Golden Age. Howard Finkel was the man.
Totally.
But when I was you're talking about like Adam around 10 years old, like going and seeing all that. Around 10 years old, that was, what was it? That was when Stone Cold had just finished up. So it was after 2003, 2005. That was during Triple H's reign of terror. Looking back at it, not the best stuff.
I've heard you say that before.
It's comfort food, yes.
Definitely, yeah. At that time, you were like loving it, though, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So Lillian Garcia is like that. Like, she was the voice of a lot of that.
Definitely.
And not all of it was bad, but there was some bad stuff in there. So I have to give it to Lillian Garcia. I mean, she pretty much picked up the torch after the Fink, started phasing out.
Yeah.
And she became the voice after that.
Definitely.
So before we give our last one, can we each give an honorable mention?
Yeah,
That's a good idea. I already did mine.
Yeah, I agree with you on that with Brandy Rhodes.
Yeah.
Very underappreciated.
Yeah.
I don't know who an honorable should be.
Really?
And I think that's one of the reasons we're going to see some overlap is that, I mean, you can't even name that many ring announcers.
Yeah.
We're the biggest wrestling fans there are, and somebody, if you said like Boyd Pierce, I would know you were just trying to be an old school Mark or something, like from World Class or whatever, which he did have awesome suits.
I got one.
Okay. Yeah. So Josh, you have one.
Yeah.
Boyd Pierce.
Well, since no one mentioned it.
Oh, am I going
Okay,
first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead. That's why we're all looking at you, Josh.
So I wasn't going to put him on the Mount Rushmore, but I will put Finkel on there. Like, the reason I didn't put him on Mount Rushmore is because I wasn't watching when he was announcing. I didn't watch Attitude. I was watching WCW at the time. So
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard from recording stuff, yeah, he's great.
All right.
Okay.
However,
So you were watching WCW, but I notice there's no Gary Michael Capetta on
where's
there.
GMC?
I don't remember.
You don't remember
No.
him?
I remember another person who's going to be my next pick.
Okay.
Okay. Well, you see, my honorable mention, I'm going to count him as a wrestling announcer because he did the big events for WCW.
That's probably the guy I was going to mention.
Michael Buffer.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, you knew it was a big match whenever they spent the money for Let's Get Ready to Rumble
Yeah.
and would bring in Michael Buffer.
Yeah.
All right, Adam. Who's your final one?
I'm going to go out here and say Bobby Cruz, the Ring of Honor ring announcer, even though I did not watch a ton of Ring of Honor, and admittedly, and I think one day in my life I will revert and just start watching Ring of Honor from the beginning maybe, and I'll just do that for my retirement. But still to this day, he's on Collision, I think, at least regularly or semi-regular, and on the Ring of Honor program. He started in 1994, so he's already over 30 years as a ring announcer. And I think the thing that I liked the most about him, and here's where I picked up on it, was during the pandemic when they did the return of the Pure Tournament. And Bobby Cruz was like announcing the rules and all that, because those are different matches, kind of. You kind of have to know what's happening for that. And I was like, wow, he just gave this all an air of legitimacy. Like it sounds legitimate to me when Bobby Cruz does the ring announcing. And I'll also just say when the first All In happened, I'm 99% sure that was Bobby Cruz, because it was basically a Ring of Honor show, a glorified Ring of Honor show.
I'm almost positive it was him.
Brandy Rhodes may have done some on that show. I'm not sure if they mixed it up or not, but I just went back and looked. And I know he announced Cody versus Aldis. And so, again, I just think he adds an air of credibility. Like it sounds like a legit contest when Bobby Cruz is in there.
That's awesome. All right.
So Jason had him as the honorable mention, but Michael Buffer. Like, that's the one guy. I couldn't remember his name until I looked it up, but that's the one guy I remember as a kid. It's like, yeah, this is a big match. This is an important match. Something serious about to happen. So it's got to be Michael Buffer.
And they would even bring him in for certain nitros. Even.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like pay-per-views. Like sometimes there's like a nitro main event, and that made nitro seem even bigger.
Yeah.
All right. Jason.
Well, you see, I have two.
Two?
I'm not going to, I'm not going to give you both. But I'm going to say, I think Tony Chimmel was underappreciated.
Definitely.
Especially with his rated R
good one.
Superstar.
Good one.
But that's not who I'm picking.
You're not picking.
Gotcha.
That's not who I'm
Honorable
picking.
Mention 2.
Yes. I have a doctorate, so it's okay. I'm going to go a little old school on this.
Okay.
And go with Larry Shipley, the ring announcer for the AWA from 1983 to 1989.
Okay.
He also wrote a book called Stranglehold about his life and career. And I didn't read that off of his wiki.
That was all from memory.
It was.
So is Larry Shipley your final one?
Yes, I'm picking him over Tony Chimmel.
Well, and so he probably would have announced some of the early Hulk Hogan then, right? Like before he was, what we think of as Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
It was probably Larry Shipley.
My final one is actually going to be Tony Chimmel.
There you go.
All right. Very cool.
I wanted to say Tony Chimmel before, but both of you were already saying Lillian Garcia, so I was like, all right, I'll just throw that one out there because it's already out there.
You fall under peer pressure.
I do sometimes. Yeah.
Chimmel deserves credit for that era, though, too.
He
As much
does.
as Lillian, I think he has some distinct announcers.
Absolutely. Like, that era of SmackDown was insane.
Mm-hmm.
And to put Tony Chimmel, and really anybody on this list, has such a recognizable voice.
Totally.
That you can equate them to whatever era that they were announcing in.
Like you can even see like from that era of Velocity and Main Event and like the pre-shows or the Saturday morning shows, like that's him all over the place.
Oh, absolutely. Also, there was a video online of the man turned very Italian very quick. He accidentally got hit with like a t-shirt gun, and he did not.
There was no accident to that. Like they aimed the gun at him.
Oh, you're talking about this? You've seen the same video?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are you saying he accident? No. Like someone was in that guy's ear and said, "Hey, it'd be really funny. Shoot Chimmel."
And then he did, and Tony Chimmel, did what Tony Chimmel I didn't think he could do.
I got to look this video up.
It's an interesting one. It's only about a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's out there, though. All right, we're going to shift gears real quick to On This Day in Wrestling History. June 29th, 1986, Nick Bockwinkel was awarded the AWA World Championship in Denver, Colorado, with a forfeit win over Stan Hansen. The reality was that Hansen had walked out on the AWA over his loyalty to All Japan Pro Wrestling. As a response to the perceived slight, Hansen, who was still in possession of the title belt, laid it on his driveway, ran it over with his truck, and mailed the remains back to AWA owner Vern Gagne.
Wouldn't you love to know what happened to that belt, like what they did with it?
Yeah.
A package for you, Vern. Oh, thank you.
It's just...
I can't give this to my son.
June 29th, 1998, the day after losing the WWF Championship to Kane at King of the Ring in a First Blood match, Stone Cold Steve Austin won the title back on Raw is War from Cleveland, Ohio. And then finally, June 29th, 2013, at a TNA Impact taping in Las Vegas, Nevada, Chris Sabin defeated Austin Aries and Manic in a triple threat match to win the X Division Championship. And we will take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Adam about Sternwheel Slamboree on July 5th. Stay tuned.
Time for more of the Grill Out. Here's Hollywood Jeff Petty.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Grill Out. I'm your host, Hollywood Jeff Petty, and I'm joined here with, I can't say illustrious co-host, Dr. Jason Lykens, the reflection of perfection.
Yes, that is your illustrious co-host. And then there's Josh.
Hostess.
And our reigning and defending, and he retained.
That's right.
Josh Cole, Bebe. We'll talk about that later on, though.
Yeah.
We're also joined by Adam Harris, ring announcer and co-organizer for RPW's Sternwheel Slamboree this Saturday, July 5th at 3 o'clock. You guys are going to be at Haddad Riverfront Park.
That's right. Yeah, big deal.
Absolutely. When we saw that you guys are going to do it there, was like, oh, okay, we don't have to go to Slack Plaza.
That's right.
Because the past couple years?
The last 2 years, yeah. The first two Slamborees, and then we've been doing Slam Plaza. Bishop did one before we did the Sternwheel Slamboree, and then we've done two since then, I think. So this year it'll be Slam Plaza 4, if I'm not mistaken. But this is our third Sternwheel Slamboree, and yeah, we're moving it down to Haddad Riverfront Park. We're going to put the ring right there in front of the stage, and so I hope the bowl seating is going to work out really cool for this atmosphere, And I think part of the idea was to, help drive some traffic to the vendors during the day. And I loved Slack Plaza, and there was no hard feelings there at all. I think the idea was to maybe just to try to concentrate that as the kids area for a few reasons that we don't have to go into on the wrestling podcast. But I think that was the main idea, is that the kids' environment, we had to kind of move a few things to set the ring up on that one day, and that makes things difficult. And this way it'll be parent-friendly and kid-friendly up there at Slack Plaza. And we had so much cool support from the vendors there on Slack Plaza, too. We had our Slack Plaza beer, the Slamboree Shandy. So shout out to all of those organizations that helped us out. But again, thanks to Gino's, who I should mention, our sponsor this year. We're going to do it down by the levee and try it out down there this year.
Also be in the shade, too.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah, especially if the canopy is closed. During that time of day, it's actually the maximum amount of shade that's going to be down there. So. And then people will be able to meet and greet with Buff Bagwell, our special guest. Everybody knows Buff the Stuff, the multi-time tag team champion. A lot of people don't even remember, but he was a tag champion along with Shane Douglas there on the tail end of the WCW days. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people have forgotten that, and maybe rightfully so, but the records still show it. So Buff Bagwell is going to be in the house at the Sternwheel Slamboree July 5th and 3 p.m. bell time. We're going to do a meet and greet with Buff probably around 5:30 after the last match is where we're going to do our photo ops with Buff Bagwell. And then 6 o'clock is when the live music starts up on the boulevard.
I'll be honest, I feel like I have to get my picture with Buff Bagwell because of what happened when I was a kid.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
Okay. So
almost everyone has a Buff Bagwell story, man. He's like universal. Yeah.
So Charleston would always do like a kids classic show or something. I don't remember what it was called.
Fox Kids Expo.
That's it. Fox Kids Expo. And my brother and I, we were huge Patriot fans. And Patriot was teaming with Buff Bagwell.
The wrestler. Not the football team or anything, but the wrestler.
No, the wrestler. And so we went up to Buff Bagwell, who was Marcus Alexander Bagwell at the time, and we asked him, we were like, hey, is the Patriot going to be here? And he was like, no. He was like, but do you want a picture with me? And we were like, no. And we just turned around and walked away.
Hey, tell the Patriot.
Yeah, say, hey, we really want to meet the Patriot.
Stars and Stripes, man. That was right there for me, too. Was Harlem Heat at that, too? Have you ever heard about that? I feel like somebody met Harlem Heat one year at that Fox Kids Expo or something.
I know Dustin Rhodes and Johnny B. Bad were.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And
very cool.
Alex Wright was. I remember that.
That was the German guy, right? That
yeah,
came out with the dancing gimmick.
Das Wunderkind, Alex Wright.
There you go.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Who later became Berlin.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
Sorry to go off topic there, but
no, it's okay.
Oh, anyway, yeah. Sorry.
I hope we'll all get a Buff Bagwell story in before the end of the show.
Yeah, I hope I don't have any Buff Bagwell stories.
Well, then you have to come to Sternwheel Slamboree.
Absolutely.
Now you can get one.
Yes,
my Buff Bagwell story is that like when WCW used to come town, we would get backstage and get autographs. I was a kid and still believed in the kayfabe. He dissed Charleston, so I did not get his autograph.
Perfect. That's perfect. No, I don't want his autograph. Did you hear what he said about Charleston?
Yeah. I live here.
That's perfect. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
That jerk.
I'll make him apologize to you in person.
Yeah.
So we already have two like Buff Bagwell things. It's like 20, 30 years in the making over.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, and hey, listen, he did an appearance that a lot of people might remember at the Charleston Town Center Mall, and that was sponsored by the West Virginia Lottery. And they actually did a WCW lottery ticket back then. And so the lottery was brought in Buff Bagwell, Ric Flair, and then also Lex Luger and Miss Elizabeth. And they did a signing at the West Virginia Lottery offices over on the top floor. At that time, it was on the top floor, I think, of the Charleston Town Center Mall. So I do have some photos, including a friend of my friend Dustin from ASW. There's a photo of him with like Buff Bagwell. And I guess this was 99, I think.
Okay.
Because Buff and Liz were a thing at that time. So it was in that area whenever he was like the total package and whatever time period that was.
See, talking about all these stories of professional wrestling here in Charleston, I've heard you say this before, Adam.
Yeah.
Charleston is a wrestling town, is it not?
Completely, yeah, for sure.
It is slept on quite a bit with people, and that leads me to like another question. I've asked you this before off the air when we've seen each other at events, but I want to know, how healthy do you think wrestling is in our area, in the state in general?
Oh, man, I think it's very healthy, and I think that's part of one of the reasons we were asked to do Sternwheel Slamboree during such a high-profile event like the Regatta. You know, I mean, the Regatta, everybody knows about the concerts, you know, and the fair food and the circus rides and everything. And so it's a very high-profile thing for the city of Charleston to say, wow, we need to be highlighting professional wrestling. There's this really exciting scene that happens all throughout the state, not just in Charleston, obviously. And in fact, most of the wrestling that happens besides Conquest, you know, they're the ones who run most locally for the most part. But you've got AC Dub who runs throughout the state. They've been doing all the B-Dubs shows that have become immensely popular. I've told Moose the other day, dude, B-Dub season is over, man. The crowd is reacting to this. They talk about it. They're like, it's B-Dub season. You know, we just kicked that off last week. And then you've got Gary, who runs ASW largely out of Boone County and Madison area, but then also runs the Bash in Beckley, which has become this huge, you know, WrestleMania-style event that happens one day in June every year. And then we also work with Power Slam Academy, who have helped train some of the talent that are coming up now and making a lot of waves in the wrestling business. You guys have done a great job of talking about Grappalachia, which was produced by Troy Rankin, another guest on your show. But 3 of the stars from that are going to be featured heavily, at least 3 or more are going to be featured heavily at Sternwheel Slamboree.
All right.
So I would say it's as strong as it's ever been.
I absolutely. I think, like, so it was actually at one of your shows. I think it was Slam Plaza. May have been. Well, it was at the Slack Plaza. I know that. I went up to the vendor, and she was from Florida, and we're talking and everything. I'm just there to get some drinks, and she's like, "I've never been around this before." She's like, "This is crazy. Like, does this happen around here on a regular basis?" I'm like, "Oh yeah. It's all over the place here." She's like, "Yeah, I don't experience this in Florida at all." And then talking with Troy for the Grappalachia interview, which, you know, go back and watch that. Also watch Grappalachia.
Definitely check it out.
It's an amazing.
It would be a good prepper for the Sternwheel Slamboree, and it's on YouTube. You can find it right there.
I saw y'all post that on your Facebook page.
So nice. Good.
Yeah, to tell people, like, hey, watch this to get it. And I think it's a great introduction.
It's a great primer. Yeah,
to the independent wrestling scene around here. So with that being said, like talking with Troy, he's from Colorado. Mm-hmm. Same thing. We don't have this out in Colorado. I've never really seen it like this. So it's interesting that in the state of West Virginia, it's so healthy. And I'm going to pass off the question to the doctor of Ultimo Dragonology. Is Micah RPW Women's Champion?
That's right. Among others. Is she Ultimo Dragon, or is Ultimo Dragon an inspiration for her?
She's a Power Slam person, right, too?
Yeah, definitely. She definitely came through the Power Slam Academy with Chance Prophet.
I can, without a shadow of a doubt, tell you she is not Ultimo Dragon, but she is very good.
Absolutely.
But there's really still only one Ultimo.
Clearly.
Listen, you can be cool, but you will never be Ultimo Dragon holding 12 titles at one time cool. That's something I've had to come to terms with in my own life. But Adam, I want to ask you, what?
Yeah, sure.
You know, since you mentioned Grappalachia, what did you think about Grappalachia?
Well, I was in it, so my mom would have loved it, no doubt. I thought it came across very well, and like I said, I think it is a good primer. Like if anybody's like curious about it, and as a fact, I had someone come up to me at the Conquest show afterwards, a professional in Charleston, who came up to me and said, "Hey, I saw you on Grappalachia. I thought that was really well done. That's what made us come here." You know, they saw enough in that documentary to think I'm going to buy tickets to a local show, go to Quantum Sports in Kanawha City and hang out and drink some beer and watch an awesome wrestling show. And believe me, it won't be their last time. You know, after the show, they were just thrilled with how fun it was. And you know, I went to wrestling as a kid for the first time, but to this day, like there's plenty of adults who are going to come to their first wrestling show at one of these public outdoor events, you know, and say what you want about a free show or whatever. It's like, to me, that's a key entry point for fans.
100%. You have no excuse then.
Exactly.
You know, it can't be I really need that extra $20 in my pocket. It's a free show.
Exactly. And even if it's at B-Dubs, you may be able to, you can afford dinner that way and go and sit on the patio and enjoy the wrestling and still get dinner. And as you guys have talked about on the show, there's a lot's been said about the demise of house shows.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time when Charleston would have a couple, at least, house shows every year or every 2 years. It seemed like they were coming all the time. And when was the last time they were here?
Exactly. I mean, the last, honestly, with WWE, I couldn't remember.
It was definitely when Cody was here. It was 21 or 22, but that was the last time. And I remember because I had to work, so I wasn't even able to go.
Yeah. And I think the last like house show that I actually went to in person with Josh, it was SmackDown. Because Josh and I both were AmeriCorps members at the time. We were doing our service project around Charleston. We were going around cleaning up the streets and stuff. And we just so happened planned it to where we could go by the box office and buy our tickets.
Smart fans in the right way.
Yeah, get our tickets and then come back later that night for the show.
I love that. That's great.
But yeah, like it is. Grappalachia is such a great introduction, and just go support local wrestling.
Definitely.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. And again, kind of back to the Regatta thing, is it's like people that may not know where to look for to find a wrestling show, or maybe people that will see this because it's been shared by the Regatta page or because they see it on the schedule. To me, that offers, okay, well, I know what Regatta is, so this is going to be, I'll understand the atmosphere. I've been to the levee before. I know what goes on there. I understand the environment, where maybe you don't know what it's going to be like at some other location. At least this is like a comfortable entry point for a casual fan, which gets talked about a lot also, you know, that casual fan that I'm not sure if they actually exist or not. But if there are casual fans, they're going to show up at live on the levee for Sternwheel Slamboree. And even if they only stay for one match, that might be more live wrestling than they've seen in their entire lives. And I think even with that right exposure, and even if they don't become lifelong fans or anything, I mean, I could hope to make, you know, the next Jason Lyken's fan, you know, and that may happen. You know, we don't know what kid is out there that's been to a Slam Plaza or a Sternwheel Slamboree. And so I hope that, you know, ultimately they'll find something to fall in love with.
So how did Regatta Pro Wrestling begin?
It's kind of an umbrella organization, and I use that word very loosely, organization. I mean, we just kind of wanted to put an umbrella over top of what we were trying to do, which was highlight those four organizations that I mentioned earlier. You know, it's kind of like acronym soup a little bit, but ASW, ACW, and then Power Slam and Conquest. Because really we just want to feature the talent that works in those groups and sort of, you know, trickle down the attendance into those shows that happen all year round, you know. And so our goal is not to run 10 shows a year or start running monthly or anything like that. Our goal, if there is one, is to basically provide some high level, hopefully high quality, free professional wrestling at what has turned into be like festival adjacent events, you know. So we've also added the Market Mayhem, which happens after the Green Chili Shootout at the Capitol Market, which again is an awesome thing because that's for charity. There's a built-in audience, and guess what? They're going to be curious. There's some beer sales going on. You know, it happens in March around St. Patrick's Day.
It's also a cool location.
It's such a cool location. Yeah. And to me, that's like the most charming part of doing these shows. I love it. You know, I was in Logan last night for the Freedom Fest. I did a B-Dub show on Thursday night down in Mount Hope. Man, up at Mount Hope, you're up on top of the hill up here. There's literally mountainsides over there, you know, and you can see the interstate going by, and the sun starts setting down over the hill. Like, give me a break. It's cinematic, you know. And I love that. I love outdoor shows for that reason. And again, it's more it's welcoming, you know. It's an outdoor. People are going to wander by. They're going to hear like, what is that going on, you know? And then you hear people hit the ring, and it echoes throughout. You know, it's going to be great.
I do think that like special venues is one thing that like some wrestling promotions are stepping away from, and I think it's such a unique thing to do that. Like, for example, you had it was Madman Pondo.
Mm-hmm.
It was the main event for, I think it was Slam Plaza. I keep going back to that.
Yeah.
Same time I had the conversation with that lady.
That was last September.
Yeah. So last September, and the sun had went down, and then the lights came on, and I remember sending pictures to both Joss and Jason and saying, "Oh my God, like this looks so cool right now."
Yeah.
Like it was such a cool atmosphere, cool visual going on.
Yeah, and just like with concerts, like people loosen up as the sun goes down, right?
Yeah.
The darker it gets, the more people feel free, and they get more involved with it. And yeah, that Pondo match was insane.
Yeah.
So you kind of touched on it a little bit. So you guys currently do 3 shows per year, roughly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to do any more than that, or are you pretty good with just 3?
Me personally, I don't know if I have the time or capacity to do any more.
Yeah.
And that is in respect to all promoters who do this year round.
Yeah.
You know, the Gary Damerons of the world and the Mooses of the world and the Derek Stowers and the Chance Prophets, because it's a lot of work, man. People have no idea. And you guys work in radio. You guys have been in promotions. You know what it's like, because it's a crew. It's a team. You know, no one person can do it themselves. And so. Yeah, it's about all I could possibly withstand myself personally, especially with a full-time job, as long as I still have one. I think I would love to do more if I had the time, but like I try to I really want what we do to have a certain level of quality, and I feel like if we try to do more, then that'll immediately go down, or at least eventually will go down. And so I like the festival adjacent things. Like we have a couple cool partners that'll keep driving in some new traffic, and if all those people if 50 people show up and 2 of them go to a show, or, you know, that to me is a win, you know, and they may never come again, but if they see it the next year, they'll go, man, we were at that last year. That was really fun. And a lot of people showed up this year at the Market Mayhem show for that reason.
So, again, go back to y'all's Facebook page. Is Troy Parker going to receive a rematch to Bishop Baylor?
Do you think we should get into it?
We can.
I promised to announce our first match on the Grill Out. Exclusive content here.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, we kind of have been teasing it on our Facebook page because, again, we want to do shows for the casual fan, but also there's been some story here. You know, this all dates back to the very first Sternwheel Slamboree, because at our first event, we wanted to crown the first ever Regatta Pro Wrestling champion. And if you guys were there, or anybody that was there, you remember in the finals of that match, it was Josh Williams and Troy Parker. And Troy Parker actually won that match. But it's the current Regatta Pro champion, Bishop Baylor, who executed some questionable contractual clause that gave him an immediate match against Troy to follow. And so Troy, you know, as the brave fighter that he is, accepted that challenge and unfortunately was basically, you know, screwed out of the title. And Bishop Baylor became the second ever Regatta Pro Wrestling champion.
How can you say questionable, though? I mean, if it's in the fine print,
well, you're right.
It's
you're
there.
right. I mean, look, the city manager Ben Misha was there. He looked at the contract and he verified. I mean, he was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's in there."
So, if anything, the better man won.
I mean, he was looking out for himself for sure. And since then, Bishop's had somewhat of a change of heart. You know, a lot of cheers for him now when he comes out. However, I will say he's always been the kind of guy who's going to do what it takes to get the job done. And at this point, he's held the Regatta Pro title for over 700 days.
Yep.
Meanwhile, we had a match at Market Mayhem. It was a 6-way scramble, or actually it was a 4-way scramble for a chance to challenge for the Regatta Pro title. And that match was won by Troy Parker. So Troy elected to cash in, if you will. He elected to sign his match for the Sternwheel Slamboree in a rematch. However...
Call back to our first segment.
Yeah, that's right, to the great Fink. However, at that same match at Market Mayhem, Troy kind of snuck the win out from under Noah Ray, who had just delivered his famous Spinebuster, and was due to pick up that win. And actually, Troy was able to get Noah out of the ring and distract him fast enough to actually get the pin. And so Noah Ray had a justifiable gripe after the match, you know, compounded by the fact that Bishop is the one who took the Boone County Championship away from Noah Ray. And there's some questionable, if you ask Noah, under some questionable standards there as well, or scenario rather. So it's been signed and confirmed that the actual title match is going to be on the line. Bishop Baylor will defend against Troy Parker and against Noah Ray in a triple threat main event match.
Okay.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. All three guys featured prominently in Grappalachia, as we mentioned earlier, and three of the hottest stars on the West Virginia independent scene and beyond. And so we're going to see who comes out on top for the Regatta Championship. Fun
fact, Noah Ray is my third cousin.
Whoa.
I've never met him, but...
Are you from Big Ugly?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, but
you are.
Oh, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Sternwheel Slamboree, July 5th at 3 o'clock at Haddad Riverfront Park. It's going to be a great time, great venue. After the show, they're going to be able to get pictures.
That's right.
With Buff Bagwell.
Buff Bagwell. He's the stuff.
Yep.
Just can't get enough.
And then a triple threat match for the Regatta Pro Championship. All right, let's go ahead and shift gears. We're talking about independent wrestling as it is, and we're going to the main event.
It looks like all the talking has been done. It's time for the main event.
Welcome to the main event, ladies and gentlemen, where we go ahead and let you know what your upcoming week of professional wrestling is going to look like internationally, nationally, and, of course, locally. Monday, June 30th, WWE Raw will have a special start time of 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So it won't be 8 o'clock, as what everybody's used to. It will be at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, they're doing that because they're taping SmackDown that same night.
Okay.
Is that in Pittsburgh? I saw Raw was in Pittsburgh.
Riyadh. They're still in.
Oh, right. I've heard of it. Yeah, that's right.
And then Wednesday.
Wait, where are they?
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
What? Why are they in Saudi Arabia?
They're doing Night of Champions there.
Night of Champions.
They're doing a whole thing. Wednesday, July 2nd, AEW Dynamite 300, a special episode celebrating the show's 300th episode. And then Friday, July 4th, WWE SmackDown returns to 2 hours, and it has been airing for 3 hours since January 3rd, so we're going to go down to 120 minutes. Friday, July 4th, and Saturday, July 5th, Game Changer Wrestling has 2 nights of shows. Fridays is Backyard Wrestling 7, while Saturdays is the Top Play. Also on Saturday, AEW Collision 100, a special episode celebrating the show's 100th episode. And also on Saturday, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling Resurrection. And then the rest of these are, of course, locally. Only 3 shows this weekend, and they are all on Saturday, July 5th. Real Shoot Wrestling will be at the Harrison County Parks and Recreation Complex in Clarksburg, West Virginia for
America's Pro Wrestling Home Videos.
This is a free event with a bell time of 7 o'clock.
Shout out, we were just there at their show last week. It was a pretty good show.
Yeah, had fun. I had a chance to talk to Tim Cross afterwards. It was good time. Top Notch Wrestling Alliance will be at the Walmart in Mason, West Virginia for
Strictly Business.
Bell time is 6 o'clock and admission is $10, while it's free for kids 5 and under. All proceeds go towards the Children's Miracle Network.
If you're a kid 5 and under, you get in for free. Admission is $10. That's 2 $5 bills. Or $120 and they'll give you a 10 back.
And as we talked about in our interview with their promoter, Adam Harris, Regatta Pro Wrestling will present
Sternwheel Slamboree.
as part of Charleston, West Virginia Sternwheel Regatta, which will be held at the Haddad Riverfront Park. This is a free event and will feature wrestlers from Appalachian Championship Wrestling, All-Star Wrestling, Power Slam Pro, and Pro Wrestling Conquest. This event will also feature wrestling legends Buff Bagwell and Shane Douglas.
And more to come.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're just going to wrap it all up. Stay tuned.
Once again, here's Hollywood Jeff Petty.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Grill Out. I'm your host, Hollywood Jeff Petty.
Prove it.
I'm here. That's Jason Lykens. Dr. Jason Lykens, the reflection of perfection.
Thank you.
Sometimes, most of the time, deflection. And also, Josh Cole. Yes, and still. Josh Cole, baby.
Yeah.
Still our Grill Out Predictions champion.
I can actually defend.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Successful defense.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah. Have you ever had one of those, Jeff?
No, not
Yeah, I
yet.
didn't think so.
Oh, thanks, Adam, for coming on to the show. Adam
Man,
Harris
thank
has
you
been
guys.
joining us.
Thank
so
you.
fun. Anytime. I can't wait to be the first three-peat guest.
All right, we'll come back next week.
Okay, cool.
You know, I'm getting fired. But that's what we said. Yeah, Josh is our he retained the Grill Out Predictions Championship. Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill won their respective King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. Also, on this past week's episode of NXT, Channing Stacks Lorenzo defeated Tony D'Angelo to win the vacant NXT Heritage Cup. Previous champion Noam Dar had to relinquish the title just a few days prior due to injury. And then on SmackDown, Julia defeated Zelina Vega to win the Women's United States Championship. And that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go out to the Sternwheel Slamboree at Haddad Riverfront Park, July 5th at 3 o'clock. It's a free show. Go support local wrestling. They do a great job. Again, Adam, thank you for joining us.
Thanks. I hope everybody will be there. Great job, guys.
You can message us, thegrillout95@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Blue Sky at thegrillout.bsky.social. And you can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/thegrillout. And until next time, fellow wrestling fans, have a good one.
Breaking news from the stadium tonight as an anonymous fan foot the bill for 55,000 hot dogs, bringing that sweet tubed meat to everyone in attendance.
Free dogs! Yeah!
55,000 hot dogs? What does that even cost? While the identity of this Frankfurter philanthropist remains anonymous, their all-beefy generosity will go down in history.
The new Mega Millions. More to win means more to give. How you spend it is up to you. Yeah!
For game odds and details, visit sceducationlottery.com.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.